So today we're talking about fighting and competing in other sports and getting over your expectations not getting met, especially getting over losing, even in an embarrassing way. Because this is what happened to me, right? As of recording this, it's 18th February, and yesterday I was at a kickboxing fight. You fight publicly, 3 rounds of two, right? Like winner loser, by points, TKO, KO, right? And so it was going well. It was, I'd say, pretty even. Maybe a bit, maybe he was winning by points a little bit, but from what he looked like, he didn't look like a person who had the endurance to last 3 rounds, right? So by the end of the second round, he would be out of gas, and I would still have plenty left in the tank, so I would probably win, or at least it'd be a draw. But then I forgot to keep my guard up. And 30 seconds in, we were just exchanging. And then instead, I was like this. And instead of being like this, right? I was like this. I went like this. And then the hook came. And because we weren't holding back, we were going at full power. I kind of felt it, right? Because I'm competing at the weight of like 15-year-olds who are 80 kilograms. So pretty heavy, right? So I got knocked out, right? I mean, like not like KO'd, but like I get kind of shocked, right? So like I was just crouched down, right, calming down, and the ref is counting one, two, three, right? He's counting to seven, eight. I'm on my feet, right? And he's counting eight. I'm ready to fight. I'm like this. I'm like this. I'm standing up. I'm like this. And he's still counting, and then he just ends the fight, right? And I'm like, what happened? But then it turns out that if you want to continue the fight when the ref is counting, you actually have to have your hands up like this. And yeah, but I just didn't know because it was my first fight ever. I just didn't know. I was just clueless. And so, uh, the fight ended in like the first minute. The guy won by TKO, and I was like, yeah, and I was just like shocked, and I was just shocked, right? Like I wasn't expecting it to end like this, and so I was pretty sad. I did cry, to be honest, because I just didn't expect to lose in such a way, because like it was such an embarrassment, bro. Like imagine, because it's not like team sports where like it's not 100% your fault that you guys lost, because like maybe you're a defender and the forwards just wasted the chances, right? Like they had like they were one on one with the goalkeeper and they just missed. So then it's not really your fault that you guys lost like 1-0, right? But in combat sports and in sports like tennis, golf, table tennis, where it's 1v1, yeah, losing is 100% your fault because you're both the attacker and the defender. You have to do both. You have to just be a one-man army, sort of. So yeah, when you lose, you know it's your fault and you don't have anyone else to blame. And yeah, so I was pretty sad, but then I got over it, and I want to tell you how I got over it. I got over it in the way that I just detached, right? Like I just thought to myself, like, okay, I made a I just made a dumb mistake. It was my first time ever. It wasn't his first time. It was my first time. I just forgot to keep my guard up. Now we know what we should learn for the next fight. Now we know what to work on. And like you didn't know the rules, you would have continued fighting. So it's good. It's all good. You have nothing to worry about, right? And and if you lose like this, right? Like if you lose in a way like this, an embarrassing way like this, like I did, your mental health will suffer. You may not notice, but it will suffer. Because for me, I can tell that like if something happens to me, if my dog dies, if I sprain my ankle, if I lose in a fight like this. I know that even though at the moment I might not be sad, I know that the same week I will probably reinstall that video game. I know. I know that I will go back to watching Netflix maybe. I know, right? And so you also have to be aware of that it doesn't matter if your bad habit of choice is video games, fapping, porn, weed, drinking, smoking, whatever it is. If something sudden and traumatic happens in your life, you will go back to the habit. Or at least it will be very hard to not go back to it. You have to have some serious willpower to just not relapse on your bad habits. Because me, like my mental health is at the point where by myself I will just not play video games. I'm at a point where by myself I will just not waste hours on end on YouTube or on TikTok. My mental health is good enough to just not indulge in those activities. But if something happens, if my mental health dips for a few weeks after something traumatic, I will go back to just doing that. Because this is how it is. If you like, once you take it, there is no going back. You can fix it, but you cannot remove it. You can make the scar smaller, but you cannot remove it. The scar is there to stay. Like, it's gonna become less visible as you grow up, but it's not going to disappear completely. This is what happens with those bad habits, because you shouldn't like be hearing this and then think to yourself, oh, then there's no point in quitting them. Like, that's just stupid logic. It's like not going to the gym because it's gonna take time to build muscle. Like, what? Like, think long term. Of course, you cannot remove it. If your mental health goes down enough, you will go back to it. But there is a way to just prevent yourself from that ever happening again. And that is to fix your mental health to the point that it is extremely difficult for that to happen. You would have to like have your whole family die and then 3 of your limbs be amputated for that to happen. Like, this is what would have to happen for you to relapse if you fix your mental health enough. This is why you need to fix your mental health, so that you don't do those habits, and so that you have a safety net for those traumatic events. Because me personally, they happen like every few months. Like, my dog died like 5 months ago, then I sprained my ankle, and then I lost the fight. So like, I just have to be prepared at all times, right? I just have to keep fixing my mental health, keep lessening my trauma, yada yada yada, until it is just too difficult for me to fall back into those. So what can we learn from this? It's to keep your guard up, mm, and don't expect much. Be prepared, foresee failure. Like, play the mental game of you failing, because it may happen. If it doesn't, good. If it does, you would know. You will know, right? You will have expected it. So yeah, keep your guard up and hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And I mean the worst, because me personally, I hoped for the best, but I prepared for the fact that I will give a good fight, but still lose. I didn't prepare for the fact that I will get knocked out in the first minute. So yeah, Targrassi, Puerto better, and see.